Title: He Stood Against the West. The Story of Ibrahim Traoré. Chapter 1. The Night the Winds Whisper Rebellion. The night was not ordinary. The wind howled through the dusty streets of Ouagadougou like spirits carrying secrets. The moon, hiding behind clouds, gave the city a quiet, silver glow. Deep inside a military base, a young captain sat alone, thinking. He was facing a choice that could make him a hero or end his life. His name was Ibrahim Traoré, and that night, the West had no idea what was coming. A voice came through a small radio. The time has come. Are you ready? He didn't answer immediately. He looked around his simple room, bare walls, a rusted kettle, and an old photo of his mother. Then he stood up slowly, like a lion getting ready to hunt. I was born ready, he said. Strange things had been happening in Burkina Faso. Villagers spoke of unknown helicopters flying above their farms. New weapons were found in empty trucks, marked with foreign logos. A journalist disappeared after reporting that gold mines were being guarded by foreign soldiers. And then came the fire. A village was burned to the ground. The government blamed terrorists, but survivors said they saw white soldiers speaking French, not local languages. Ibrahim went to the burnt village. He knelt down and picked up a scorched doll, the little girl who Ona had died. In that moment, Ibrahim made a promise. I will be the fire they cannot put out. To keep that promise, he had to fight not just his leaders, but powerful foreign forces who controlled them. The West had grown too confident. They thought Africa was still theirs to control. But Ibrahim was not a puppet. He had read about Thomas Sankara. He knew what it cost to stand up, but also what it meant. Freedom, real freedom, the kind you feel in your bones. When the radio called again, Ibrahim did not hesitate. He walked out into the yard. His fellow soldiers stood there waiting. They were quiet, focused. Tonight, Ibrahim said, we make history, or we die trying. That was the night everything began to change. The night the West lost its control. Because Ibrahim Traoré was not just a man. He was a new voice for a rising Africa. Chapter 2. The General Who Bowed to Gold. The next morning was quiet. Too quiet. News of the takeover spread quickly, not through phones or the internet, but through whispers. They've done it. The young captain has taken over. But not everyone was happy. In the presidential palace, General Kouassi sat at his desk. His eyes were dark. He had medals on his chest, but he also had secrets. He had worked closely with the West. He signed deals that gave away Burkina Faso's resources, gold, oil, lithium. The West liked him because he listened. He wanted money more than truth. Now, a young captain had broken the plan. Kouassi picked up a hidden phone. He dialed a number known only to a few. He moved. The boy moved. What'd I do? A calm, cold voice replied. Watch him. We have other ways. The general hung up. He realized something. He was no longer in charge. The game had changed, and the West was not happy. Chapter 3. The Boy in the Book of Sankara. Long before the rebellion, there was a boy in a small village who asked too many questions. Why do we have gold, but we are poor? Why are soldiers from other lands guarding our land? The boy was Ibrahim. He was curious, bold, and hungry for truth. One day, while sweeping the floor of his small school, he found a book. Its cover was torn, its title faded, but inside it was fire. It was the speeches of Thomas Sankara. As he read, something changed in him. Sankara spoke of real independence, of farming your land, owning your wealth, and rejecting foreign control. Ibrahim read every page. He read it again. Then again, he made a promise to himself. If I ever wear the uniform, I will serve the people, not the West. Years passed. He joined the army, trained hard, climbed the ranks. But he never forgot Sankara. He carried that book in his backpack, everywhere, to his fellow soldiers. He was different, quiet but firm, kind but unafraid. He listened, he learned, and when corruption came close, he stepped back. When the time came, Ibrahim did not rise for power. He rose for purpose. And the spirit of Sankara smiled from the pages of that old book. Chapter 4. The Mask of Democracy. The West said they wanted democracy in Africa, but what they really wanted was control. Every 5 years, a new leader was elected, but the deal stayed the same. Gold still left the country. Children still died from hunger. Roads stayed broken. Schools had no books. Ibrahim saw the truth. He saw how politicians smiled in front of cameras, but signed papers in secret. He saw how leaders who spoke out were removed, or worse. They called it democracy, but it was a mask. The real rulers sat in boardrooms in Paris, London, and Washington. Ibrahim once met a foreign diplomat who laughed and said, "You Africans are free to choose, only from the leaders we give you." That day, something inside him broke, and something stronger was born. He understood the game, and he knew how to break it. He didn't want revenge. He wanted renewal, and that made him dangerous. Please, remember to like this video. Chapter 5. The Man in the Shadows. Not everyone in the West wanted war with Ibrahim. Some feared what he could become. In a tall building in Brussels, a man watched Ibrahim's rise with quiet worry. He had spent decades creating deals in Africa, deals that kept things stable. But now, Ibrahim had broken the silence. He spoke openly. He called out France. He asked why African countries still paid colonial taxes. He asked why the CFA franc still existed. He was not supposed to ask those questions. The man in Brussels whispered, "He is young. He will fall." But deep down, he wasn't sure, because this time the people believed. And belief is the one weapon money cannot buy. Chapter 6. The Poison Gift. A week after taking power, Ibrahim received an official letter from a Western embassy. "We want to help," it said. "Let us support your new government." Along with the letter came offers, millions in aid, loans, and military equipment. But Ibrahim was cautious. He knew that gifts from the West often came with chains. He remembered what Sankara once said, "He who feeds you, controls you." Still, some advisors begged him to accept. The country was poor. The army needed weapons. The people were hungry. Ibrahim thought deeply. Then he made his decision. "We will take nothing that takes our freedom." He began visiting farmers. He asked what they needed. He talked to teachers, miners, mothers. He launched a national project to grow food, rebuild roads, and teach children, with no help from the West. It was hard. Some days he barely slept, but slowly things started to change. The world watched in silence. No one had said no to the West in years. Ibrahim had. Chapter 7. The Enemy Within. Ibrahim's biggest danger wasn't outside the country. It was inside. Men who wore suits by day and served foreign powers by night. One of his ministers leaked plans to foreign agents. Another stole funds meant for schools. Ibrahim was heartbroken. These were men he trusted. But he acted. He fired them, exposed them, called out corruption on live TV. The people loved him more, but it made him more enemies. Foreign media called him a dictator. They said he was too young, too bold, too dangerous. But he stayed focused. He was cleaning a house that had been dirty for too long, and he would not stop until it was pure. Please like my video. Chapter 8. The Night They Came for Him. It was a cold night. Ibrahim was working late in his office. Suddenly, the lights went out. His guards shouted. Gunshots echoed. A group of armed men had entered the compound. They wore black, spoke in foreign accents. It was an attempt to remove him. But Ibrahim was not caught off guard. His soldiers had trained for this. They fought back. By dawn, the attackers were captured. Some were local. Some were not. Among them, a man with documents showing plans from a foreign embassy. The truth was clear. They wanted him gone. But he was still standing, and stronger than ever. Chapter 9. The Rise of New Africa. Other African leaders watched Ibrahim closely. Young people in Mali, Niger, and Guinea began to speak his name. Protests rose. Flags of old colonial powers were burned. And one by one, other countries began to follow. New leaders refused to bow. Ibrahim started meeting with them, talking of unity, of building a new African alliance, not just against the West, but for Africa. trade, defense, education, all in African hands. He spoke at schools, visited markets, walked with farmers. He reminded everyone, power is not in palaces, it's in the people. And they believed him. Chapter 10. The boy who became the voice of a continent. Years passed. Burkina Faso had changed. Africa had changed. It wasn't easy. There were still challenges, still struggles. But something new had taken root. Hope. And at the center of it all was a man who once read a book in a small schoolroom. A man who said no when it was easier to say yes. A man who stood tall when others bowed. His name was Ibrahim Traoré, and his story was no longer just his own. It belonged to a continent ready to rise. The West could not stop it, because an idea had been born, an idea too powerful to kill, the idea of a free Africa, forever remembered, forever rising. The end. Please, I plead with you to help me like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos.